This is Fred Richani of TSC News, here to recap WWE Monday Night Raw for December 28th, 2015. And man, oh man, did we have a memorable return tonight. Actually, two memorable returns. Sort of. We had John Cena in his first appearance in 2 months, and we had Vince McMahon in his first appearance in 2 weeks. Which is kind of funny because we didn't see him appear over the last year, and in the last 2-3 weeks he's been on television trying to draw ratings, and I can understand that. You want to bring out the big guns, you want to get people to watch Raw again and stick with it, especially with football season starting to fade, and I give him a lot of props because we even have a title match scheduled for next week. More on that in a second. Now, if you've been here before, you know the deal. We take your questions live on the air. If you're listening to this after the fact on SoundCloud or iTunes, we can still take your questions. Just leave a comment below, tweet us, Facebook us, and I will shout you guys out the next time I get a chance. John Cena took on Alberto Del Rio in the main event of tonight's show in Brooklyn, New York, and originally it was non-title. But John Cena cut this pretty damn good promo in front of a really tough crowd, kind of a more quiet crowd, in recent years, if you compare like the other New York crowds. Although lately, I'd say the last 2-3 years, the Brooklyn crowds have been kind of lax compared to what you'd get, say, like MSG or Philly or Chicago. Although, to be fair, Philly and Chicago aren't what they used to be, at least in terms of older hardcore fans. It's a lot more families now. It's a lot more casual fans. So, John Cena came out, talked about how he missed the place, how he's back, and how the U.S. title has kind of gone down since Alberto Del Rio beat him. Alberto Del Rio came out, talked a bunch of junk, came out with the League of Nations, and John Cena verbally dressed this guy down and kept saying, you should put the title on the line. I defended this title every week. Essentially saying, you're a bitch. And Alberto said, you know what, John Cena? I will fight you, but not for the title. And then John Cena kept egging him on, said that the kick that he hit him with to win the U.S. title at Hell in a Cell was a lucky kick. He said that he's a bitch again, and said that everybody in Brooklyn is tougher than Alberto Del Rio, which is not true considering Alberto Del Rio once pinned Randy Couture in the Pan American Games and actually fought in MMA before. Now, granted, he didn't do so well, but listen, if somebody's tough enough to step in the ring with Mirko Cro Cop in his prime, that man is tougher than you and me. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. So, John Cena took on Alberto Del Rio with the title on the line. He got Alberto to put the title on the line. They had a really good match, and in true WWE Monday Night Raw in 2015 fashion, the match ended in a disqualification. Yes, a DQ to cap off the final Raw of 2015. Great! We had some run-ins, we had ref bumps, we had Cena kicking out of everything. I thought, man, we're going to get a title change, and why not? This Alberto Del Rio experiment has failed. They've misbooked him from the start. To be fair, he's really good in the ring. He has always kind of missed having that connection with the audience that he had in AAA for whatever reason. Actually, I know the reason why he connected with the audience in AAA, because he allegedly stood up to the big, bad, racist WWE. At least that was the story that AAA told. And now that he's back with WWE, fans don't really have a reason to care for him. Okay, he's Alberto Del Rio. In reality, he wasn't gone for that long. He was only gone for about a year and a half, 2 years at most. And, well, what do? They bring him back, team him up with Zeb. It's hard to make people care about a Mexican superstar when he teams up with the guy that was hating on his race. And then they put him in the League of Nations. Hard to care about a guy that's being teamed up with a bunch of geeks, including Sheamus and Wade Barrett. And then they have him rarely defend the U.S. title, which was a staple of Monday Night Raw in 2015. So that combination made it really hard to care about Alberto Del Rio. Do I think there's hope? Yeah, but I would have liked to have seen Alberto lose the U.S. title due to botched interference by the League of Nations, have Alberto Del Rio absolutely destroy him eventually, and just kind of move on to bigger and better things. You might be saying, well, Fred, they just formed the League of Nations. That's true. They also just gave Sheamus the world title and then took it off him because they realized how big of a failure it was. Or maybe they just felt like they needed to give Roman the title already. Who knows? Maybe they think the Sheamus run was a success. Ugh. Well, it wasn't. The League of Nations is still the League of Geeks, and they ruined this main event. And afterwards, they took out John Cena. Roman Reigns and the one-man Wrecking Crew came out, destroyed the League of Nations, as did the Usos, and Sheamus got Superman punched. Vince McMahon came out and said, Roman, it's going to be you against Sheamus next week for the WWE. Actually, he said WE World Heavyweight Championship. And the special referee is me. And then Vince McMahon maniacally continued to say, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. And after doing that Vince McMahon impression, I need a drink of water. Stand by. Oof, I don't know how Vince does it. He's got a great set of vocal cords, is all I got to say. So, earlier in the night, we opened the show with Vince McMahon calling out Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns laughed off Vince's threats, and then Roman pushed him on the ground because Vince was insulting his father, Sika, one half of the legendary Wild Samoans. Unfortunately, Vince assumed that everybody remembered the Wild Samoans or knew who the Wild Samoans were, when in reality, they were never, a team like the Road Warriors in terms of star power. And in reality, I think a majority of the audience wasn't even born yet when the Wild Samoans were active, at least in WWE. So he brought the Wild Samoans, said everybody knows him, not true, and dissed him. Said, I ran him to the ground. And you're lucky you were one generation away from having a spear or like a nose ring, or essentially he made reference to how he was one generation away from getting a stereotypical Samoan gimmick. And that pissed off Roman. He shoved Vince to the ground. Vince said, my neck, my neck. Vince had claimed earlier that he had to have dental surgery after that Superman punch a couple weeks ago. And the cops came. They had a guy play a fake NYPD officer, and he said, officer, arrest that man. Stephanie was out there demanding that Roman Reigns get arrested, and he said, I'm not going to arrest that man. So Stephanie said, arrest him. And he told her, calm down, or I'm going to take you to jail. And she's like, what? So Vince magically was healed, said, it's okay, officer, it's okay. And he said, well, get out of my face, or I'm going to arrest her. Sounds just like the NYPD. So then Vince got crazy. He got all bug-eyed. He grabbed this officer. He said, damn it, you're pissing me off. And then the officer brought in the cops, arrested Vince McMahon, and in the storyline, Vince McMahon went to jail, which was pretty awesome. And Roman Reigns laughed, and that was the end. For now. Throughout the show, we had consistent coverage from Renee Young, who kept us posted with updates on Twitter, with updates throughout the show. And finally, they had Vince McMahon come out of the precinct with Stephanie and a lawyer who they claimed was Jerry McDevitt, but that really wasn't Jerry McDevitt, since Jerry McDevitt, the real WWE attorney, is significantly older than that young guy that they probably hired from some acting studio in New York. So it was a fun show-long storyline. Vince claimed that he was going to sue the entire city of New York. He said he wished he could sue all of Brooklyn. And yeah, the payoff was, at the end, Sheamus versus Roman Reigns with Vince McMahon as a special guest referee. And I think this is good news, because that means that we're probably not getting Sheamus versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, Royal Rumble. Thank God we're not getting it at WrestleMania. Which means that it's probably going to be Triple H versus Roman Reigns at Royal Rumble, which is great. Get it out of the way there, and that way Roman Reigns can actually wrestle in a title match that doesn't feature a part-time guy. Or if he's going to wrestle a part-time guy, have him wrestle Brock Lesnar and avenge that loss from last year. Or have him wrestle John Cena, and instead of John Cena passing the torch to Roman Reigns, have Roman Reigns rip the torch from him. Or, depending on the reaction Roman Reigns gets the next 3 to 4 months, maybe you could go in a different direction. Maybe you could have John Cena win. Maybe you could have Roman Reigns turn heel. Maybe Roman Reigns can still turn heel if he wins because he can't beat John Cena and needs to use underhanded tactics. Who knows? There's a lot of different directions you can go. But I personally would not do Triple H versus Roman Reigns, at least not for the title. And even just Triple H Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, I just feel like it'd be way dragged out and kind of lame. I mean, it'd be a really good match, but Why not put it in the Royal Rumble? Speaking of the Royal Rumble, we had a segment with Miz TV where Miz kept getting interrupted by Zack Ryder, Heath Slater, just all these geeks, R-Truth, Ryback, and then the Big Show came out, destroyed everybody except the Ryback, and he announced that he's going to be the number one entrant in the Royal Rumble. Now, I don't know if that just means he's the first entrant, or if that means that the Big Show is going to be number one in the Royal Rumble, which would be kind of hilarious to see him maintain his cardio. But for a big guy, he is in hella shape. I mean, he's 42 now, still going strong. Crowd chanted, "Please retire." He egged them on, so he had fun with it. And I should note, too, the crowd had a lot of random chants throughout the night. This was not your typical New York hardcore wrestling fan crowd, but they did still have some weird chants. During Roman and Vince McMahon, they were chanting for CM Punk and Daniel Bryan for a brief period, and Vince told them to shut up. Roman Reigns just kept going. Both guys handled it well, by the way. Both guys handled it really, really well, so I'll give them props there. And I don't really hate the fans for chanting that stuff. It was kind of annoying, but you know what? They paid a ticket. A lot of the fans that go there are casual fans. Not all of them just watch the product on a regular basis. Some of them aren't even subscribed to the network, so I didn't have too much of an issue with this. But yeah, we had an impromptu match with Big Show and Ryback after Big Show destroyed all the geeks. Big Show got beat up, walked out, and unfortunately, this feud must be rekindled and must continue. Why? Why not bring in Baron Corbin to destroy all the geeks and then destroy Ryback? Why not bring in Bull Dempsey to do some stupid comedy? That's more entertaining than seeing a feud with Ryback and the Big Show. But I digress. Let's see. We had Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch have a match. They actually got to have a couple pre-match promos. Becky Lynch said she doesn't need Charlotte in her corner, and Charlotte wasn't there anyway. She was in Allentown, I believe, wrestling Paige. They actually had a split crew. They had one house show going on in Allentown, and they had Raw going on in Brooklyn. So Becky had a really good match with Sasha, who prior to the match cut a heel promo that was every generic heel promo you've ever seen. Oh, New York is cool. The boss is back in Brooklyn. But Brooklyn doesn't compare to Boston. And then she takes out a Patriots hat. And then Naomi, trying to do her best Xavier Woods impression, kept having a bunch of different adjectives describing how smelly New York City was. And they continue to be the very, very poor man's version of the New Day. Team B.A.D is significantly hotter than a New Day. But Team B.A.D is also significantly less entertaining than a New Day. And they had a match. Becky and Sasha, really good. Not at the level of their NXT TakeOver match, but still really good. Unfortunately, the crowd didn't care, nor have they been given any reason to care. And there were a few people chanting boring. There were a few NXT chants and Sasha's ratchet, no, she's not chants. But for the most part, this crowd is comprised of people that clearly don't watch NXT and clearly have been given no reason whatsoever to care about the Divas, let alone the two NXT standouts, Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch. And Becky almost won. She thwarted the interference from Team B.A.D. She rolled up Sasha Banks when Banks was going for a bank statement. But then Sasha rolled her up, grabbed the tights, got the win. Really good match. But I felt really, really bad for them because they were just put out there in a long match. I think it went at least one commercial break, might have been two. And the crowd just didn't care. Look, I don't care if you put Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch in there. I don't care if you wake up one day and say, I'm going to push Curtis Axel and Heath Slater and put them out there for 20 minutes, and those guys are pretty competent workers, although I'd like to think Sasha Banks and Becky are better. It doesn't matter who you put out there. You can put out there Ryback and the Big Show, two guys that have been established for a long time. Doesn't matter. It's not about long matches. It's about making the crowd care. And whether the match is 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 25 minutes, it's all about the emotional investment. You know, there are certain guys that or girls that can get over in front of a crowd, even though the crowd's been given no reason to care about them. But again, it depends on the presentation. It depends how they've been booked. If you put Asuka out there for 2 to 3 minutes, I think she'd get over immediately. If you put Asuka there for, say, 20 minutes in a match with Emma, in front of a crowd that doesn't watch NXT, that's not familiar with strong booking of women, that's used to seeing the Divas as a joke. It's going to get crapped on like this match was right here. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is, and Sasha Banks got the win, and things aren't going to change until they do a complete facelift of the presentation of the Divas. I'm not talking about a half-assed effort and some marketing ploy, Divas Revolution, trademark. No, I mean a full-blown facelift. I don't understand why they're not doing it, especially now when Nikki Bella is on the sidelines, when Brie Bella is being marginalized. Why not? Well, I can answer my own question. Old habits die hard, and it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. Take that for what you will. We had Neville come out, and he was going to wrestle Kevin Owens. He got beat up, and Kevin Owens just absolutely destroyed him. And I actually missed that Kevin Owens actually lost to Neville, looking at my notes here, because I was watching also the Bengals and Broncos game. And for those that don't know, the Broncos started off as the number 1 seed in the AFC, and now could possibly miss the playoffs. So that was a more interesting storyline to me than seeing Neville possibly lose to The Miz. But instead, he was going to take on Kevin Owens, and he pinned him right away. A flash pinfall when Owens went for the pop-up powerbomb, and then he just got absolutely destroyed. Later in the show, we had a 6-man tag with Dean Ambrose and the Usos taking on the League of Geeks. League of Geeks won when Sheamus got the pin on an Uso, and afterwards, Dean Ambrose was favoring his fake injuries on the outside. And then Kevin Owens said, "Here you go, bitch," and threw him into the stairs. And then he pop-up powerbombed him, or he actually just gave him a regular powerbomb, but it felt like a pop-up powerbomb with the table, through a table, and Dean didn't move for a couple minutes, had to be helped to the back. And yeah, they unleashed Kevin Owens. That being said, him losing right away to Neville, I don't know. That doesn't seem like a guy that's being groomed to face Brock Lesnar if he's losing in 20 seconds to Neville. And while they did do that whole, Kevin Owens still got the heat on him afterwards, I just don't get it. If Kevin Owens is going to destroy Neville, why not just have him beat Neville? Why not just have him beat Neville? I don't get it. We had Kofi Kingston take on Kalisto. Kalisto won. We had Big E defeat Sin Cara thanks to interference by the New Day. Poor Sin Cara legitimately injured his shoulder, taking a bump to the floor off the apron. And I got to tell Unico one more time. One more time. Burn the Sin Cara mask. Just burn it. Okay? Well, you know that song, Burn, Baby, Burn. Disco Inferno. Just burn. Just burn that mask. Just burn that outfit. Just burn it. It's done. It's over. That outfit, that mask is cursed. Okay? You could blame Mystico, Luis Alverde, who cursed it in the first place, but you gotta burn. Just get rid of it. Just be Unico again. Get the bicycle. Get another mask. Poke some eye holes. Something. But just get rid of the gimmick. The Sin Cara gimmick means nothing. That mask in 2015 going into 2016 means nothing. It is cursed. It is cursed. Get rid of it. It's done. As Vince Carter once said, it's over. It's over. We found out that John Cena is now on the cover of Muscle and Fitness magazine, and WWE revealed that it's been 4 straight months of WWE superstars being on the Muscle and Fitness magazine cover, which is cool because now they pretty much outed the fact that they have a partnership with Muscle and Fitness and probably a financial stake because, I mean, really? 4 straight months of WWE guys? Good for them. Good for them, but, you know, pretty obvious now that they have more than just a little partnership. Okay, as I mentioned before, League of Geeks beat Ambrose and the Usos. Ryback technically beat Big Show via intentional countout. And then main event, Cena defeated Del Rio via DQ. So overall, a decent Raw. I wouldn't say it was spectacular or anything, but it was decent. And it was one of the better Raws of the year. And one of those, well, I don't know if the better Raws of the year. There's some a lot better Raws with John Cena defending the U.S. title. One of the better Raws of the last 6 months, I guess is the best way to put it. You know, by the low standards of the last 6 months of Raw, this was a pretty good show. And John Cena's return felt eventful. Vince McMahon's return felt eventful. Although it is kind of sad because, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago, Vince McMahon is still doing his shtick. I love it as somebody that grew up watching the Mr. McMahon character, which I think is one of the all-time great characters in the history of professional wrestling. But to see some of the crowd just react mildly to "you shut up" and "son of a bitch" and like all his trademark lines, it was just kind of sad. It was almost like a guy doing, an aging rock star doing his greatest hits in front of a crowd, and some of them popping and some of them not, which is very unfortunate because Vince McMahon on the air is still a better performer than I'd say maybe 80-90% of the guys on the roster right now, which is pretty damn amazing and also kind of sad, and also WWE's fault because they give these guys a bunch of crappy scripted promos for the most part. Speaking of rock stars, a legendary rock star and a man that might be familiar to the WWE audience, Lemmy of Motorhead passed away due to various health complications at the age of 70. Poor guy just celebrated his 70th birthday, was very close to Triple H and a number of WWE guys. He is most famous to wrestling fans for being the singer of Triple H's various theme songs, The Game, Evolution, and King of Kings. Behold the King of Kings. Yeah, just very sad. Lived a long life, had a great career, but just very unfortunate. The true legend, not just in wrestling in terms of music, but seriously in terms of rock and roll. If you go on Twitter, you'll see the likes of Ozzy Osbourne and all these guys tweeting about him. He was such a well-respected guy. He really was, and it's just a damn shame that it's just a damn shame it had to end already. But God bless him. Just a true legend, a guy that had a lot of great performances, and definitely created some great memories, not just for rock fans, but again for wrestling fans. Say what you want about Triple H, whether you're a fan of his or not, but the game theme song, iconic. So, rest in peace, Lemmy. Let's get to some of the questions and comments here. By the way, if you're enjoying this recap show, please feel free to click the like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe to TSC News. And also, just real quickly, I want to let you guys know, I just uploaded the complete UFC 195 conference call featuring Carlos Condit, Robbie Lawler, Andrei Arlovsky, and Stipe Miocic, who are competing this Saturday night on pay-per-view. And I also just uploaded a review of WWE New Year's Revolution 2005. I decided to review all of the old WWE New Year's Revolution events just because it's New Year's time. And hey, why not? What better time to review an obscure WWE pay-per-view series than now? So feel free to check that out. But let's go to the comments. Lil Reek says, Lemmy is God. You damn right. Scott Anderson says, Lemmy was just diagnosed with an aggressive cancer only 2 days ago as well. Very sad. Yeah, absolutely. My condolences to his loved ones for sure. Brandon Vasquez, Vince makes an impact because he is really Vince. Not much gimmick with the Vince character. Yeah, I can imagine. Man. The Real Hardcore says, Sin Cara should get a new gimmick. Brother, you ain't kidding. You ain't kidding. You definitely ain't kidding. Let's see. Do you think Bray Wyatt will challenge Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania? Well, considering Bray Wyatt's not losing in 20 seconds to Neville, I'd say that's a better chance of him wrestling Brock Lesnar than Kevin Owens. Also, Bray Wyatt has his obligatory role as the jobber to the stars anyway, so why not? Okay. I don't care what anybody thinks, but dear God, do not give Sheamus the title next week. I don't think they will. I think what's going to happen is Roman Reigns is going to win. Well, he's going to win by knocking out Sheamus, knocking out Vince, and then doing the old Stone Cold Steve Austin move where he grabs Vince's limp body and makes him count 1, 2, 3. WWE should buy TNA. Said no one ever. Jeremy Bauer says calling it next week. Triple H returns and beats the hell out of Roman. I'm fine with that. Why not? Let's start building up Royal Rumble early. Why do we have to wait, 2 weeks before Royal Rumble to build up the matches? I'm glad Big Show declared for the Royal Rumble, even though nobody cares about him in 2015, going into 2016. And I'm glad that they're promoting this match next week with Sheamus and Roman. They should have been doing this all along. Imagine that. Oh, speaking of promoting, I did another video, which you guys can check out, talking about how The Rock confirmed via his Instagram, at The Rock, that he will be appearing in some capacity at WrestleMania 32. Now, does that mean he'll be in a match? Does that mean he'll be a guest host? That all remains to be seen, but I'm excited. It'll get casual fans excited. It may get more people watching Raw these next few months. And, definitely made WrestleMania 32 a lot more interesting. I do hope to see The Rock versus Triple H. If Triple H is going to be involved at WrestleMania, I think that'd be a fine match. Just do a Legends match between the two as opposed to taking away, the John Cena or Roman Reigns from a big match, that's marquee that we haven't seen before. I mean, Cena versus Reigns, I think, is a great marquee matchup. How the fans are going to react, I have absolutely no idea. But, I'm perfectly fine with Triple H and Roman Reigns as a Royal Rumble main event. Okay, Prashant's asking me, is this WWE 2K16 that's playing in the background on YouTube? Yes. Yeah. Long story short, my computer went down a couple months back. I did a live stream through my PS4, and because I didn't have my software, and a lot of people liked it. They liked having WWE 2K16 in the background and watching it while I was talking. Of course, you can also listen on SoundCloud and iTunes, but for the people that watch on YouTube, they kind of like the background of WWE 2K16. So I said, screw it, why not do it? So I did it there with a few recaps. I'm doing it now, and I'm doing it a little bit with some of my football recaps, and feedback's been good. So, I'll keep doing it. Don't worry, I'll still be on camera every now and then, but it's nice to kind of have something fun to look at, like Dude Love doing his dance in the middle of a WCW ring, which is random as hell. By the way, I want to thank everybody for watching the WWE 2K16 Christmas Spectacular that I played and live streamed on Christmas Day. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's booked better than most WWE tournaments. But don't just take my word for it. Check it out. Okay, let's go on Twitter. Scott says, I am willing to bet the farm that Roman Reigns retains next week. Yep. The Divas match was not good. Well, your taste is also not very good, because I thought the Divas match was damn good. The creative around it, not so much. The match itself, damn good. Greg Phillips asks, if Kevin Owens does become a big heel, do you see him beating Brock clean for the title? No, I don't even see that being a title match. Now, I did think of a scenario when I was in the shower today, because, of course, you always come up with your best ideas in the shower, because I was thinking about talking points for the show. And I thought, you know what? They could do a deal, if they really wanted to, where Roman beats Triple H at Royal Rumble. Triple H actually, no. Sorry, we go back. Roman Reigns beats whoever at Royal Rumble. Let's just say Sheamus, which now it looks like they're not going to do that. But let's just assume it's not going to be, Triple H at Royal Rumble. Let's assume they're gonna hold it off for whatever reason, right? You could have Roman Reigns defend the title against whomever at Royal Rumble, have him retain the title, and then have him retain the title, and then at Fastlane, have Roman against Kevin Owens, have Triple H interfere, cost Roman the title, give Kevin Owens a short run with the title, and have him be a transitional champion going up against Brock Lesnar. Have Brock Lesnar win the title without having to beat Roman Reigns or John Cena. Have Roman Reigns beat Triple H at WrestleMania and get a big win. And if it were me, I would put Triple H's job on the line to make the win really matter for Roman Reigns. And then at SummerSlam, or dare I say even Extreme Rules, you could do Roman versus Brock Lesnar. Boom. And then Roman can beat Brock Lesnar for the title, or you could change directions and just keep the title on Brock. That's what I would do. Well, maybe not what I would do. That's one of the scenarios that I would run in my mind, which, of course, I have, and that I would contemplate. On one hand, I wouldn't want to take the title off of Roman Reigns right away. On the other hand, you are paying Brock Lesnar a hell of a lot of money, and when Roman Reigns eventually beats him or somebody eventually beats him, you want it to mean something. I think at this point it would mean something if somebody beat him. But, if you want to give Brock a little bit more steam, if you want to make that loss to The Undertaker at SummerSlam feel like an even greater distant memory, that's one way of doing it. And hell, you could even give Kevin Owens the title at Royal Rumble, but I think that would be way too soon. If you give Roman at least a couple months with the title, have Triple H screw him, do Triple H versus Roman Reigns, and then do a Kevin Owens versus Brock Lesnar, that'd be cool. And then you could set things up for the next 6 months. That's what I would do, if you want an alternative. I mean, John Cena versus Roman Reigns is intriguing. I think it's probably the most intriguing matchup you could do. The only other one as far as intriguing and name value and all that jazz. I mean, there's a couple matches, but probably I'd say Rock versus Reigns, now that we know Rock's going to be involved at Mania, but I don't think they're going to do that. And Rock versus Brock, more so just because of the star power. I mean, I don't think it really matters which guy would win. I also don't think The Rock would take a trip to Suplex City, given he's got all that money on the line with all those movies. And, he got injured enough in that one match with John Cena in 2013. I don't think he wants to get hurt again wrestling Brock Lesnar, taking a bunch of suplexes. I think his agent and his directors would be very opposed to that. But a lot of different scenarios. Hopefully they have a direction already. Hopefully they're not like me and you right now, figuring out what the hell they're going to do. Hopefully they have a set direction, and then they have kind of like a backup plan on the side in case of injuries and unforeseen circumstances, and that's that. If they don't, holy doodle squat. Either way, WrestleMania season is definitely going to be intriguing. Tony Chimmel was on Raw tonight. Yeah. Nice to see him back, at least for the main event. Would it make Kevin Owens strong if he loses to Brock Lesnar? You can make the argument him losing at all doesn't make him look strong, but there's no shame in losing to Brock Lesnar. If they can protect him from now till Mania, I'm fine with it. I mean, look, most guys lose to Brock Lesnar. There's no shame in that. Fred, what would you do if you plan a Rumble marathon, reviewing every Rumble all in one day? Wait, what would I do? I wouldn't do it because that'd be dumb. Because that's like 29 Royal Rumbles or 28 Royal Rumbles that I have to review in one day, and that wouldn't be fun. The plan is for me to review every Royal Rumble, but you better believe I ain't reviewing them in one day. I've already seen a lot of them. I mean, I've seen all of them, like pretty much in their entirety in the past. I'll probably go back and watch most of them and watch some highlights and stuff in case I need to refresh my memory. I'd like to think I have a pretty good encyclopedic memory of some obscure WWE knowledge. So I will be doing Royal Rumble reviews if time allows. That is the plan right now. At the moment, I'm going to be working on my New Year's Revolution reviews, which should be up probably... I'm going to try by the end of tonight. Sometime tomorrow. I already have the 2005 one up. There's only 3 of them. And it's a lot easier to review a pay-per-view series that's 3 as opposed to 28. But if you guys want them, I will give them to you. Not in one day, but I will give them to you. So that's something you guys can certainly look forward to. Just, again, it's very time-consuming. And, I would love to do it, though. So I'll make some time and I'll do it. How about Bray Wyatt versus Kevin Owens at Mania just as a normal match? That'd be interesting. That'd be very interesting. But one of them would have to turn face, and I'd actually like to see Bray turn babyface. I would have liked to have seen him turn face the last few years. Unfortunately, they haven't done that. They just kind of kept him as a heel, even though a lot of the crowd really likes him. And he's continued to lose over and over again. The problem is the heel side is so ridiculously weak, so you really got to put some steam on some heels. It can't just be Vince, Steph, and Triple H as your top heels. You need a legit, active top heel, which is why I wouldn't be opposed to that Kevin Owens idea. Again, if Kevin Owens, beating Reigns for the title, getting some credibility even as a transitional champion, defending the title at WrestleMania against Brock Lesnar, kicking out of a couple F5s, eventually losing, and then you could kind of build him up and keep him strong after WrestleMania. I'd be perfectly fine with that. Will they do that? I don't know. To me, it just feels like they're willing to give Kevin Owens the half-assed upper mid-card push. It's not that they don't like him. I think they do like him, especially Triple H, who signed him. But there's obviously opposing forces that are going to say, oh, he's short, oh, he's fat, oh, he doesn't have a great physique, blah, 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 even though he's excellent in the ring and a tremendous promo. Okay. Oh. David Schneider just tweeted me at David S09081994, our resident Carolina Panthers fan. Sorry about your Panthers, bro. He just tweeted me a photo of Reigns and Cena face-to-face after Raw. That's interesting. So that probably will be the WrestleMania direction then. But they could always go in a different direction if they really want to. Wyatt's versus League of Nations at some point. How about you just break up the League of Nations? They're a bunch of geeks. Oh, man. Will Daniel Bryan return? I don't know. That's up to WWE doctors. TNA sucks, says Prashant. I don't know if they suck, but they're not very good. Vince is too old to be in storylines. That's mean. That's mean. Do you think Daniel Bryan will return at the Royal Rumble? If Daniel Bryan can return, they are... If Daniel Bryan can return, they better not bring him back in the Royal Rumble. If they haven't learned their lesson for the third year in a row, I don't know what to tell you. Was 12 rounds a PG movie? I think it was PG-13. We just need CM Punk to get beat up in the UFC, and that way he'll come back to WWE. I don't know if CM Punk's coming back to WWE, and I don't know if CM Punk's actually going to fight in the UFC. Kenny Florian and Daniel Cormier, who are two standout UFC analysts. Also Kenny Florian, former UFC fighter, UFC contender. Daniel Cormier, the current UFC light heavyweight champion. Both straight up said, and DC's actually a big wrestling fan and a friend of Seth Rollins, he said he doesn't think CM Punk's going to end up fighting. Age is a factor. Punk is 38. Injuries are a factor. There is a conspiracy theory going around that perhaps CM Punk was only signed to be in the video game and boost sales in the EA UFC Sports 2 video game. I don't know if that's true. Perhaps at this point it is. Perhaps CM Punk had every intention of fighting, and now it's just kind of more of a marketing thing. And look, maybe CM Punk is completely serious about wanting to fight. Perhaps he is. I'd like to believe he is. Is the UFC serious about putting him in a fight? Especially with the injury that he had last year? Or actually, earlier this year? Actually, it's practically last year. We're in 2016. I don't know. If I'm Dana White, I'm a little skeptical. But if I'm Dana White, I also want to keep CM Punk around long enough and have that idea of him fighting in the news long enough to sell that video game. Which, I can't blame him. But if I had to guess right now, I'd say I don't see CM Punk fighting in the UFC. And if he does, I'll say it again, I don't like his chances. But I give him props for trying. and getting a lot of money for it. Has Lesnar even technically gotten his WWE title rematch? Silver Bullet 1147, technically he did against Seth Rollins. He beat him via DQ after The Undertaker interfered, but no, he never got a fair one-on-one match. Does Becky Lynch win the Divas title at Mania? I don't think so. It'd be a nice story, but I don't think so. Okay. Do you see anybody else joining the League of Geeks? No, I do not. I mean, maybe some other geek like Heath Slater, but I don't. And we'll take one last question here. Fred, how would you rate WWE in 2015 on a scale of 1 to 10? Oh man, you really want me to go there? I'll give it a 5. Maybe a 4. I could go lower. I'll tell you this. I don't think there's ever been a year in WWE where there's been more good to great matches that have meant less than 2015. We had a ton of great matches with John Cena and the U.S. title. We had a lot of great matches featuring the likes of Kevin Owens. We had a lot of great matches, good matches featuring Cesaro and the Usos and a number of other guys. Unfortunately, they've meant nothing for the most part. U.S. title matches, I think, meant something, but other than that, not really. Not really. I mean, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins had some good matches. Randy Orton and Seth Rollins had some good matches. But ultimately, a lot of these matches, outside of maybe, like The Undertaker or Brock Lesnar stuff, really meant nothing. Because in some ways, they had these great matches, and within the next week or two, they made you just forget about them. They made you not care about them. Why? Because they did constant rematches, because they did stupid finishes, because they had run-ins. There are all kinds of stuff going on. I mean, with Seth Rollins and John Cena at SummerSlam, they had a great match. But nobody was talking about how great that match was because we were too busy watching Seth Rollins lose every single week after unifying the WWE World Heavyweight and United States Championships. People weren't talking about Dean Ambrose pinning Seth Rollins and in a really good match and sort of winning the WWE title, but not in a dusty finish. No, we were talking about how Kane and Seth Rollins were teasing a feud. Nobody was talking about how, oh man, Brock Lesnar came this close to winning the title. No, we were talking about, Kane, Big Show, Roman Reigns cutting bad promos. I mean, it was just a lot of BS. A lot of good matches, but a lot of BS. Cesaro had a ton of great matches, a ton of good matches this year. But ultimately, did a lot of them mean anything? No, because by the week after, a couple weeks after that, he was in the same spot he was before, going nowhere. Kevin Owens comes in, beats John Cena in his very, very, very first main roster match. Not even after the show. On the same freaking show, Elimination Chamber, they book a rematch for 2 weeks later, and then he loses. And then at NXT TakeOver in Japan, WWE Live, Beast in the East in Japan, he loses. And then he loses again. And then he loses again. And by the time we got to September, October, nobody cared about Kevin Owens as a top guy. There's people that still buy his merchandise. He's still over to an extent. He definitely has the hardcore fan base in the palm of his hand. But is he a guy that's perceived as the second coming? As that next big star like he was back in May when he took out John Cena and then a couple weeks later pinned him clean in the middle of the ring? No. You know why? Because they had a match 2 weeks later. They had another match a month later. And by the time the feud was over, Kevin Owens, I don't want to say he was just another guy, but in some ways he was kind of just another guy. And that's the problem. That's still a problem. Even with them booking Roman Reigns as well as they have so many guys like the League of Geeks that are just guys. Guys that are individually talented. Guys that at some point with really good booking could have meant something, but due to the stupid 50-50 booking, due to badly scripted promos, storylines aren't followed up on, or bad storylines, period, or no storytelling at all, they are just guys. So hopefully, in 2016, not only do we have good and great matches on a regular basis, but hopefully, we will actually have some storylines and strong booking behind more than just one or two guys. And I'm talking about guys that aren't named just Roman Reigns, John Cena, Triple H, and Stephanie McMahon. But that's all the time we have for today, folks. I'm glad you tuned in on the live recap. If you're listening to this after the fact on iTunes or SoundCloud, we greatly appreciate it if you would give our podcast a good rating, or you could give it a bad rating. Give us your raw thoughts. We'd love to hear from you, so let me know. Leave a comment below. Tweet us. Facebook us. Do what you got to do. If you enjoyed this recap, please click the like button. Please share this with all your friends. And until next time, everybody, as always, enjoy the matches.